Well, hello. It is the 19th of March, 2017, and you're listening to this week's edition of Metaworld News. And I am Mal Burns bringing you the news this week. We look at some news from virtual reality business, so to speak, and on the hypergrid and the world of social worlds generally, immersive 3D spaces. I will start with some highlights from my Twitter feed, which you can find at twitter.com/Malburns. That's MALBURNS, or one word. And if the links I give you aren't adequate here, you can go to that feed to find them. I'm going to start off 6 days ago, a link to Robland VR's VR News on YouTube. It comes out every week, usually on a Monday these days. So there'll probably be another one up shortly after this show as well. Always good reading if you're interested in the gadgets, and full of photos of the latest stuff while he's talking. Okay, so for the actual articles that have come up this week that seem relevant to our brief. SXSW vendors have VR tunnel vision. This is a report at The Next Web. And slight criticism here of some of the VR vendors at SXSW, which of course is a big shenanigans thing that went on last week, I believe. Quartz magazine, QUARTZ, has an article, "The Future of Social Justice Activism and Mass Incarceration Reform is in VR." Yes. Looking at all sorts of stuff there, really, as you can imagine with a title like that. Do you put all your prisoners in prison in VR so they don't notice they're in prison, for example? Or do you put them in a nightmare VR so they damn well know they're in prison? But also it goes in social justice activism and all sorts of other things. Interesting article on
Do we know we're not there already?
Yes, exactly. Interesting article on possible serious uses of VR. Right, something according to, this is a Rolling Stone magazine, article by Sarah Grant. The Melody of Dust, inside Viacom's game-changing new VR experience. I'm not sure whether the name Viacom, they probably own Rolling Stone these days, I don't know. But Viacom's Times Square headquarters is wide and covered in tan marble, flat screen, blah, 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 flagship brands like MBTV and stuff like that. But this is actually a bit of an offshoot article. It's somebody called Hot Sugar has made this VR sort of piece called Melody of Dust, and it's not remotely commercial, as you might expect from Viacom. Apparently, they've given their sort of VR division a free hand to do whatever the hell they want until they actually figure out what they're going to do with the medium. This Melody Dust seems to be quite interesting. What else have we got here? Oh yes, yet another chat by Hyperdot's Philip Rosedale. This one actually comes from VR Intelligence and at YouTube, and the headline is "Bigger Than Earth: the opportunities and challenges in the future of virtual worlds." It's very easy to look at Philip's things these days. He does so many and thinks same old, but somehow he always manages to get a bit of a knee slant on things, so well worth the watch. Virtual reality-news.net has a report that Western European revenues for AR and VR markets are expected to reach 2.5 billion this year. That's 2017. And geekzonia.com, I think I mentioned this before in another context another week. That's GEEKZONIA.com. Virtual reality Comic Cons, where we're going, we don't need queues. Yes, so that's a bit more about doing a Comic Con virtually instead of in the organic sphere. A site called Coindesk.com has an article about blockchain-powered VR world entering a new testing phase. It's something they call Decentraland. Now, before you think you're going to chop in there with an avatar and use blockchain-powered world, it seems to be more. The idea seems to be more virtual reality visualization of data. from what I can see from the pictures, but they're well worthy of interest anyway. Decentralized. Yes. Virtual Reality Times, or oneword.com, has a full list of glove controllers for VR. If you're interested in the glove controllers, they've done their best to make a comprehensive list. And VRX Europe 2017, you can find this at events.vr-intelligence.com. And I think it's April or May, a conference to be held over here in Europe. In fact, I will just open it very quickly to tell you where it's going to be, because I think it's going to be here in London. Yes, I do. And indeed it is. It's planned to hold this in VR London, indeed. In London. Right, I shall have to try and blag a ticket for that. Right. A virtual version of you that can visit many VR worlds. This is an article at MIT Technology Review. And it starts off with a lovely sentence. Avatars, long used in video games, are coming to VR. Well, I think they've been here quite a while, to be honest. But this startup thinks you should be able to use the same one in different places. And for those of us who trot around the hypergrid, I think we'd all concur we want the same avatar to be available everywhere. And they've... a company has released some free software demo called Ready Room, and company called More 3D. I have something else about them shortly too, and well, it's not just for Oculus Rift, I hasten to add, but they've also partnered already with High Fidelity and VR Chat, which would suggest that the avatars from High Fidelity and from VR Chat will be compatible for moving around, so to speak. So anyway, a little bit more about that from MIT's Technology Review. The site Digital Trends has an article, a VR sensor is being developed to make sure you don't step on your roaming pets. Now, I got quite a few replies to this one saying I didn't know where to laugh. And then people then said, but actually, this is a very darn good idea, not just for pets, but for everything else. The idea is you simply put a collar or a little tag on your pussycat or whatever, and it emits a signal to avoid you, because obviously in a helmet, you can't see it. So you don't want to tread on it. And you know what cats are like from when they get involved with whatever you're doing. So basically it will give off a little signal so that you don't accidentally tread on your cat while you're walking around.
You're talking about real life cats.
Yes.
I thought you were talking about virtual cats.
Oh, no, real life cats. You don't want to tread on your cat while you're walking around in a helmet. So your pussycat will be able to give you a nice little signal saying, hey, you're about to tread on me.
Nice.
Yes, I think that's very nice. So it's not quite, it makes you want to laugh, but at the same time, there's other aspects of things that might be useful to have. Even solid objects that you forget where they are, put a tag on them so they can tell you they're there. Anyway, so that's rather nifty. Article at Digital Trends there. A site called blockchain powered VR world enters testing phase. I just gave you that. What I didn't tell you was that you'll find it as a site called coindesk.com. That's coindesk.com. Right, moving along. Why virtual reality is becoming business reality. This is an article in Britain's Britain's major three sort of big size serious newspapers called The Telegraph. And they have quite an eye on technology these days. They have to, don't they? Even if they are an old paper. Right, so that's a Telegraph in the UK. How virtual reality is helping heal soldiers with PTSD. We've talked about this before many times, but new article here. And this is at NBC News. NBC, as in no bloody content. Except that that's probably wrong. NBC News. I'm sorry, NBC. I'm sure you've got plenty of content. How you're helping heal soldiers with PTSD. You can now visit the UK Houses of Parliament in VR. Nice little article there about that. You'll find that at medium.com. And virtualitytimes.com has an article on tracking virtual reality movements with sound. Particular focus on the company called Howley LCC, But obviously, a general look at the field there, so to speak. And whiz bang. Voices of VR.com 516, which was yesterday. Privacy in VR is complicated, and it will take the entire VR community to figure it out. Observations there. How ray tracing is bringing disruption to the graphics market and impacting VR. This is at virtualreality-news.net. Community leadership in VR. This is another post at medium.com with an illustration from VR chat and its avatars. Draw sketches for virtual reality like a pro. This is an article on a site called Virtual Reality Pop, all one word, pop as in pop music, .com. Draw sketches for virtual reality like a pro. And this is really just a hands-on for anybody who's sketching up and sort of what we would call storyboarding VR environments. Rather nicely put together article for those who want to learn that. And I think that's about it. No, it's not. There's another page. VentureBeat this morning. What kind of experience should virtual reality deliver? This was a panel discussion, and the link VentureBeat there goes to the transcript. And virtualrealitytimes.com has more on Morph 3D, customized animated VR avatars with Morph 3D. VentureBeat again, why VR versus AR is an obsolete argument. And you can now experience the weather forecast, or the weather, in VR, thanks to a company called AccuWeather. And this is really this version of the weather forecast, or so you don't have it on a desktop anymore. You can actually go into VR and examine it all. It is promoted in association with Oculus. I don't know how well it works on a flat screen, but it's basically 360 weather technology. And finally, I think it's finally anyway, TechCrunch this morning had an article about a group called SVRF may have the answer to VR's search problem. Now, before we get too excited, those of you on the hypergrid and everything else, this isn't another search engine for hypergrid destinations. The idea here seems to be much more along the lines of like a Google for what Google is to websites, they want to be for VR. So some kind of search mechanism to find all the 3D places available. It's not really clear whether, presumably their intent is to do it regardless of platform, just build an index. But anyway, I don't know. And VentureBeat simultaneously has WebVR isn't sexy, but it will change the game for VR this year. Yes, it will, apparently. And that's it for my main Malbones, twitter.com Malbones feed. Right, so I'm just going to go to my other quick posts here. There aren't that many. A post from SL Universe, oddly enough. New fashion cluster in Neverworld Grid. Stores are available. That's more of an advert than anything else, isn't it? I'm just flipping forward on our little slides here because we're on Hypergrid News, and also a post at plus google.com. I guess you have to look up Malbones on google.com to find this post called Every Year I come across lots of enthusiasm for helping OpenSim core developers team grow. And basically, this is a discussion on cooperation between OpenSim developers and stuff like that. And I actually reposted this in the IMA Google Plus group too, so to extend the conversation there. The sort of conversation we have here quite a bit, so worthy. And a post from Maria, who's not with us, of course, while she's moving and terribly busy and everything else. But I'm bringing it up on the screen behind us right now because there's a nice little graph to go with this. Reporting issues cause stats to drop this month. Basically, OpenSim has reported net fall in both regions and active users, but David, who posted this for Maria, says Uh, the region's drop was probably due to one grid with server issues, and the active users drop was due to a couple of grids that had problems with with their own stats, as it were. Anyway, more information about that type of grid business, or you can follow the link um, from my Twitter feed, and this is this my Twitter feed? No, this is Google Plus actually, but it's on my it's on Metaworld News's Twitter feed too. Number one most popular grid is InWorlds, followed by OS Grid, followed by Metropolis, followed by DigiWorlds, followed by a new one to me, All City. Number six is Kitely. Great Canadian Grid, I'm afraid, is down to number nine, and I'm not going to read the other 25 because, well, just because time is of the essence. If nothing else. Right, so that was that, and then I'm just going to go into Metaworld News as well, just to check there was nothing here that we didn't. Oh yes, high fidelity. Let me just move a slide forward quickly. High fidelity virtual world enables lecture recording function. This is a post from miltonbroome.com. That's MILTONBROOME. He's been around for a long while now. I haven't heard much from him recently, but anyway, he's talking about how you can create and record NPC avatars in high fidelity, and this isn't simply record as in make a video. This is record the actions and literally replay them in world in a separate location. So it's called a recording version of scripting, really, I suppose. And finally, I have a post here. um, Oh, this is from High Fidelity themselves too. It was supposed about creating and recreating buildings in VR using Archilogic. That's ARCHILOGIC. And basically, Archilogic is a partner with High Fidelity, and they are integrating as of tomorrow, I believe. And it allows you to bring in architectural renditions of things like Frank Lloyd Wright buildings and all sorts of high quality buildings into high fidelity. You presumably have to pay for them before you can import them, but it's a partnership they have in place for content. And that seems to be it for my news feeds. Thank goodness for that, or it would have been a long news. Finally, however, I've got James here, and I gather you didn't make the developers meeting this week, James, but you do have a couple of things to mention.
I do actually, and it's just the busiest time at my employer of our year, so it's I just was unable to attend the meeting. But I wanted to comment on that archaeologic article. What was
Oh, yeah.
interesting about that, to me, about that Frank Lloyd Wright building is that they scanned and built a building that's been demolished. And so if you wanted
Oh,
to see that Frank Lloyd Wright building, you can't because it's gone. So
aha.
it's it's like the story about the Buddhist statues that have been destroyed in Iran. So I
Yeah.
just find that type of thing very interesting.
Actual archaeology is a wonderful aspect of historical rebuildings in virtual worlds. But I must say, I'm rather surprised that a Frank Lloyd Wright building, being how recent he is and how celebrated he is, isn't protected and has been demolished. But there you
Well, the thing about Frank Lloyd Wright is, it was a very organic architectural style, and
go.
everything I've read has said that his philosophy was being organic, it should crumble back into its its elements, and a lot of his buildings do tend to crumble quite a bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, that's interesting to know. So he's very much concerned with the aesthetic rather than durability.
absolutely, absolutely.
Oh dear. Okay, fair enough.
So I didn't attend the Tuesday meeting, the office hours for the OpenSim developers, but I did look through the notes, which are, they're freely available on the opensimulator.org website. And there were just two real, I think, one important topic of discussion, which was about really, copyright and copy protection on assets. And, there's, pretty interesting discussion from a grid owner about, you know, there are some things that can be done, but, someplace at OpenSim Core, this issue of really protecting assets has to be ironed out. And I can't help but wonder if at some level that might be a part of grid permissions in general. But that was an interesting discussion. And then the last remaining discussion was the United States jump in daylight savings time premature to the bulk of the world.
Oh,
I think that
indeed.
contributed to the low attendance at the meeting last Tuesday.
Oh, well, yes, this is
Right.
true. I mean, I've just about got used to it after a week, and I don't know, it's 1 week or 2 weeks to go. I'll be in the rhythm and then it will mess up again,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Globalization, except for the continent that's got its own daylight system.
Well, don't get me started on my metric time discussion. That'll go
Fair enough.
far too far.
Yeah. Not within our remit, I'm afraid.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, well, it's news and it's not really virtuality, but in case you haven't heard, because a fine local radio station apparently hasn't heard that sadly late last night Chuck Berry passed away
Mm-hmm.
at the grand old age of 90. Nothing to do with the virtual world, but sad news. Although he had a good run for his money, I
Well,
think.
and I imagine you can go into a virtual world and find a lot of fans of Chuck Berry, and probably some tribute events already.
You can indeed. And when I was logging into Great Canada Radio earlier today, I noticed that the Jimi Hendrix Experience have appeared from
Ah,
somewhere.
right, right.
I thought Jimi Hendrix died a good long while ago. In fact, I'm
Hmm.
sure I remember him dying, but apparently he's back in Canada here. Oh dear, oh dear. Such is life, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's a benefit for something. So maybe he's risen from the grave to benefit somebody. Anyway, that's happening. Also, I happen to know, news-wise or event-wise, that this very moment as we're broadcasting, both Cesar Ember and Pathfinder and a few people are actually at the OpenSim embassy at Sistania over in the Second Life platform. This is an embassy that Cesar has opened on Pathfinder's old land there. And there are two talks going on there trying to persuade Second Lifers about the benefits of coming out here to the open metaverse. So if anybody's watching this while you're in Second Life, you can look up a sim called Sistania and go and hear Pathfinder and various other people talking about what you're missing. Yes, you're missing a lot being in that walled garden,
Oh,
Sorry, sorry, Lindens. Anyway, that's it. That's
So
it for this.
Mel,
Yeah.
one of our viewers chatted that Ein Kalm's weekly Sunday DJ on Refuge Grid is doing a tribute to Chuck tonight.
Oh, very good. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, we are hot with the news here. Okay, so Refuge Grid is it's not the one that's RF Grid or anyway. Go to OpenSim World or somewhere, look at Refuge Grid to find the login address, and hop along there if you want a Chuck Berry tribute. Did they say what time it was?
Just tonight. Nope.
Tonight. Okay, that is probably tonight US time, USA time, so a good few hours away yet.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that. Always nice to get breaking news, even if it is an ad for a gig. Right. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week with yet another roundup of the news. Do stay tuned on this channel, by the way, if you're watching us live, because in barely half an hour's time, we'll be live again with our wonderful weekly chat show, the In-World Review. We'll be joined by Marcus Llewellyn, Sunbeam, Magic, and Joe Builder. Not to mention me and James here. So do join us then as well. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Bye for now.